Hi, this is Brian. Welcome back to another episode of Philosopher's Notes TV. Today we've got another great book, The Stoic Challenge by William B. Irvine. The Stoic Challenge, subtitle, A Philosopher's Guide to Becoming Tougher, Calmer, and More Resilient. Awesome book. William B. Irvine is a professor of philosophy at Wright State University. He is also a practitioner of Stoic philosophy, which in our modern world is a rare combination. A practitioner of philosophy vis-a-vis simply a scholar or an academic. We talked about Donald Robertson, being a librarian of wisdom, which is kind of the modern day academic philosophical orientation, versus the ancient applied warrior of wisdom, not librarian cataloging ideas, but living them. So William B. Irvine is that rare breed of a practicing Stoic philosopher and scholar and teacher. And this book is just awesome. It's the second book of his that we featured. The Stoic Art of Living, I believe was the title of the other book. No, I'm sorry, A Guide to the Good Life. That might have been the subtitle. Check that one out. Professor Irvine also joined us as a luminary in our guest faculty for our Optimized Coach program, where we have dozens of my favorite teachers join us, like Cal Newport, Tal Ben-Shahar, Donald Robertson, How to Think Like a Roman Emperor, William, Robert Biswas-Diener, our last episode, et cetera, and everybody loved him. He was just awesome, super practical Stoic wisdom, great book, highly recommend it. As always, check out the Philosopher's Note. We've got 600 plus of them and counting as I march to 1,000. We've got a ton of Optim Living 101 classes, and then the plus ones, etc. Check that out at optimize.me. We've also got apps, iOS and Android, that we're really proud of and people are telling us that they love. Optimize.me/apps. Philosopher's Note, big ideas. Let's jump in. So the Stoic Challenge. You want to be tougher, calmer in the face of challenges? Awesome. Let's start by looking at setback exemplars. So we think that when we face a setback in life, that the only possible response is to crumble. And he says, well, no, actually, there's a range of responses, and suffering is optional in this scenario, and we need to look toward exemplars to see what's possible. And we talked about the exact same thing in How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. Donald Robertson tells us about Marcus Aurelius' practice of imagining the ideal sage, and he aspired to be that best version of himself. I translated that into, what's the best version of you look like? Let's aspire to be that. But we know in the science of self-confidence that seeing someone else achieve success basically says, if they can do it, then I have a chance of doing it. That gives us a higher level of self-efficacy and confidence. And I should say, too, that Professor Irvine makes the explicit point that he's taking ancient Stoic wisdom and kind of polishing and sharpening the tool or the sword of the wisdom with some modern day science and positive psychology, etc. But anyway, starting with exemplars is huge. He shares a number of them. Bethany Hamilton, the young woman whose arm was bitten off by a shark while she was surfing. What did she do? You know how long it took her to get back in the ocean and start crushing it again with one arm? I think it was her right arm she kept. 26 days, Bethany Hamilton was back in the ocean after a shark bit off her arm. Setback exemplar. If she can do that in her life, what can you do in yours? That's a pretty big setback. Oh, ouch, I'm into surfing, I want to be a pro surfer, and a shark just bit off my arm. Whatever. Shake it off Stoic style, get back in the water, get better. Become a radiant exemplar. Goosebumps as I say that. He talks about Stephen Hawking. He's getting destroyed with, Lou Gehrig's disease and his body's atrophying. And what does he do? Steps up from a wheelchair, can't talk, big deal. Theoretical physicist, one of the greatest scientists in history. Setback exemplar. And then in the note, I share a story of me seeing another setback exemplar. This is last year, almost exactly this time last year. We go to Lake Tahoe for the Spartan World Championships. It's Emerson's birthday. Joe DeSena, the founder of Spartan Race, has become a friend and kind of soul brother. He invited me to come up and do an interview with him on this podcast because, again, we had one of the largest teams in Spartan history, blah, blah, blah. So I'm there, And I planned to race that world championship in Lake Tahoe that year. But unfortunately, earlier in the year, I broke my wrist and I had to have surgery and had 20 screws put into it. And the surgeon told me, this is in February, that I wouldn't even be able to do burpees by September. So I kind of, that world championship was off my calendar. Certainly competing in it, and I wasn't even planning to do it, right? Now I was able to do burpees in 3 months instead of 12 months with the help of a great physical therapist who happens to be an optimized coach. Thank you, Dr. J. Anyway, so I'm there at the Spartan, event. It's awesome. And Emerson comes up to me after hanging out and cruising around the little campus they have where everyone converges. And he says, Daddy, there's a guy here who's doing the Spartan race and he has no legs. He has no legs. And he says, Daddy, if he can do it, you can do it. I said to myself, game on. That guy's name is Casey McAllister. He's amazing. No legs. And the dude does Spartan races. He's extraordinary. Setback exemplar. So I may have pulled some strings. Joe helped me get in the race. Thank you, Team Spartan. He also gave me a little extra energy boost through some concoction of pills that he was testing out. I became a case study for him. And I went out and I hammered the race. It was awesome. Didn't do it to win it, but had a great time completing it. And I was inspired by a setback exemplar. If he can do it, I can do it. How about you? Start with the setback exemplars as we move to the Stoic challenge. And then remember this, antifragility. Since I took the 2-year break on doing these Philosopher's Notes TV, antifragility has become an even more powerful theme in everything that we do at Optimize. Now, Professor Irvine tells us there's a spectrum of resilience. You can be fragile, right? And if you get hit by life, fragile. If you get hit by life here, you just break. I'm fragile. You're like a package being sent in the mail. Handle me gently because I'll break if you drop me, right? Or you can be resilient on the spectrum, which means, you can throw me around. I'm going to bounce back a little faster, etc. Resilient. Now, he doesn't use the word anti-fragile, but the entire book is basically this, which is there's something more. There's something beyond being resilient. And that is what we call anti-fragility. And that actually gets an exclamation point. You're anti-fragile. When you're anti-fragile, the opposite of being fragile, you literally say, hey, kick me around. Because the more I get kicked around, the stronger I get. Obstacles make me stronger, which has become our mantra at Optimize. Ohms, not O-M, ohm, but O-M-M-S. Obstacles make me stronger. Ohms. Those obstacles give us an opportunity to grow, literally, right? That's how we want to approach life's challenges. Almost like going to the gym. We're not going to get strong by lifting styrofoam weights. We got to lift the real thing. And if we can see life's challenges through that lens, we're going to be a lot stronger. That's the idea of anti-fragility. And just to make the point a couple different ways, Nassim Taleb, who coined the word anti-fragile, says that the wind is neutral, right? But the wind will extinguish a candle, which is fragile, right? Candle going to be extinguished by the wind coming at it, but it will fuel a fire. The wind will extinguish a candle, but it will fuel a fire. This is Ryan Holiday's The Obstacle is the Way. The true Stoic philosopher uses everything as fuel. We are anti-fragile as we pursue life's challenges. There are life's, opportunities to grow, and those challenges are fuel for us, which leads us to the third idea, the test. And this is the Stoic challenge. So this is the essence of the book, and I just absolutely love it. So Professor Irvine says, when he faces a challenge in life, he imagines it as if the Stoic gods are giving him a test and seeing just how strong he is. So if he gets delayed on a flight, he tells a bunch of funny stories, right? One of them is he's on a flight and he's sitting there for minutes, becomes more than minutes, becomes an hour, right? And then he's like, okay, what's going on? He's Stoic challenge. Oh, the Stoic gods are challenging me here to maintain my equanimity. Everybody else is complaining. Boom. Can I practice my philosophy? Then they have to get off. Then they wait. Then they have to go to the hotel that night. Oh, very clever, Stoic philosophers, or Stoic gods. You're really challenging me. Very good tactics. Then he gets a room that's just horrible, and it goes on and on and on. All the while, he's laughing to himself, thinking, this is an opportunity for me to practice my philosophy. The Stoic gods are blessing me with this opportunity. We've taken this and run with it as well. Thank you, Stoic gods. Something goes wrong, someone cuts you off on the way to work. Thank you, Stoic gods, or whatever you want to fill in the blank for. You're giving me an opportunity to practice my philosophy. That's the Stoic challenge in a fun little game. And psychologically, we want to revisit the theme that you can view life's growth opportunities as threats or as challenges. If you see every little thing that goes on in the world and every big thing that goes on in the world as a threat to your well-being, same exact thing can happen. But if you see it as a threat, I don't know if I can handle this, or you see it as a challenge, boom, let me step up and see what I'm made of here. It's going to be tough, but I'm going to go for it. Same exact external event, different internal frame for it. Your physiology will change, your overall well-being will change, and your ability to meet that challenge will change. If you see it as a threat versus a challenge, you want to see things as Stoic challenges. Then another practice from the Stoic toolkit is negative visualization. So he talks about this in the context of some other ideas, but it's a powerful practice. The Stoics embrace this, and again, Professor Irvine has kind of dusted it off for our modern times. But one way to appreciate your life is to imagine it being worse than it currently is. Weird practice, and you don't want to live in this state. He says it should be a flicker. Every once in a while, flicker this awareness that, hey, your life could be a heck of a lot worse than it is. Quit complaining. You got 2 legs or you don't, but you're still got your life, right? For Casey McAllister. One of the things I do to remind myself of this is a Ryan Holiday. It's buried deeply into my pocket this morning. Let me see if I can get it. Ryan Holiday, Memento Mori, remember death. That's a flicker. Boom, I'm alive. I could be dead, right? That's a very quick way to flicker negative visualization. I'm going to be dead at some point, which is why that practice is so powerful. So I'm going to appreciate my life, however imperfect it is right now. In the note, I mentioned Eleanor. The day after the day before I wrote this note, she fell at the park hard enough on her head for Alexander to call our pediatrician. And so I remember sitting there, actually it was as I was reading the book, sitting there holding her while she's crying and thinking, wow, she's a blessing. And then the next day when we realized that she was fine and there was no actual damage done, I can appreciate with that flicker of it could have been a lot worse. And we fail to realize things could be a lot worse. And we'll talk about the science of gratitude, but gratitude is important. And one of the things that gets in the way is entitlement. You and I think that everything should go perfectly all day, every day, from the internet to even the things that are going on right now as I film this with COVID, the pandemic going on. Well, fantastic. All those things you took for granted, take them as granted. The fact that you used to be able to go do all the things you did, you took them all for granted. Take them as granted. That's a humble stance, which is a powerful place from which we want to live and deal with any entitlement. We take things, again, for granted versus as granted. We're going to talk about that in Robert Emmons' great book. And then more practically speaking, even this morning, or I should say more timely, we live, out in the country outside of Austin, right? We're on 8.5 acres. It's beautiful, absolute heaven, right? Literally. We have a trail that I walk around it multiple times a day. Feel so blessed. And perfect little hermitage, right? And the prior owner sold an 1.5 acres to another person, so they own 1.5 acres of the prior 10-acre lot. And in Texas, people burn things and kind of, they just create burn piles, etc., right? So we're walking on our trail the other day, and we see this like growing heap of kind of trash that I think they're going to burn, but I'm not sure. There's like a chair on it, that's sitting there, and it's like the initial response I had was, that is, what are you doing? A, and B, I'm pretty sure that's actually on our property if we were going to do the survey and look at where it is. And then running it through the Stoic challenge of, thank you, Stoic gods. That's an opportunity to practice this. And my current decision, which may evolve, is that is my flicker of beautiful imperfection. You see it right when you're walking on the trail and you're kind of turning the corner, boom. Beautiful imperfection in the space of otherwise pretty close to perfection. And I love that as a constant reminder, a reminder when I see that, of a flicker of, look, nothing is ever perfect. Let's not take anything for granted. Let's not pretend we're ever going to be perfect, and take the time to negatively visualize when and as appropriate. Then we get to the final idea, lazy Bill. So Bill is a funny guy, Professor William B. Irvine, a.k.a. Bill. He's into rowing, right? He's into rowing as a practice of facing challenging things and doing things he doesn't want to do, which is precisely why I'm into Spartan races. I literally pay to go face obstacles. I do things that are hard because I know that's how life is and I want to train for it. It's a perfect metaphor. Well, he rows for the same reason. And then he tells an hilarious story about a rowing competition he went to. He's on a rowing team, etc. He's like, I'm not good at all. I show up and I do my best and I'm competing against myself. That's it. But one race, he just went all in and he was just crushing it and just pushing in this race, right? As hard as he possibly could. And then, the rowing races are handicapped and scored based on kind of like golf, you got an adjusted score depending on how good you normally are, and then you're compared against your field so you can actually compete. It's age comes in. I don't know how they do it, but it's calculated on a sliding scale of some nature. Anyway, after his race, he's like, I just crushed that. They announce that he won. And he's like, yeah, baby. And he's just going off and he's just celebrating and doing whatever he does to celebrate. And then X minutes later, they come back on the loudspeaker and they're like, excuse me, we have an announcement. We actually calculated the last results wrong. The new winner is, or the actual winner is so-and-so. And I think if he didn't place last, it was close to it. So we literally had to, I don't know if he had to give back the little trophy or medal he got or something, but it was one of those opportunities that he tells that's so funny. Perfect opportunity. Well played, Stoic gods. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to practice this. That was a good one. But the point he makes here is that every single day, he uses rowing and the rest of his life as an opportunity to basically confront lazy Bill. Lazy Bill is that lesser than version of himself. The demon is actually what they would call it in ancient Greece. You had your daimon, which is the best within you, right? Here's your daimon. That's the angel within you, the highest version of you. That's what you're capable of doing at any given moment. Here's your demon, which is the diminutive of daimon. Demon is just the diminutive of daimon. The best you, the not so great you. It's like the angel and the devil. So he calls his little demon lazy Bill. And every single day, he's going at it with lazy Bill because he knows that if he can close that gap consistently, his life will look like that. And if he doesn't close that gap consistently, his life will look like that. And we don't want to get to the end of our lives and have a gap like that. And guess what? You don't need to wait till the end of your life, because if you do that on a daily basis, we use another metaphor all the time, right? You can go -1 or you can go +1. Demon, daimon. If you aggregate a bunch of those +1s, you feel great at the end of the day. If you go backwards, demon, 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 at the end of the day, you don't feel great. That's when the gap exists. So we need to deal with lazy Bri, lazy, fill in the blank. As we visualize negatively what could be wrong, what could be different in our lives, and appreciate that which we have with humility, we have the test. We celebrate the Stoic optimizing gods when they give us good opportunities to practice our philosophy. Epictetus, I think it was, says, when you face a challenge, imagine God, or the gods, he would say, sending you a young buck to wrestle with you. And he says, if you want to be Olympic caliber, you better train against the best. That's what the Stoic gods are giving you, opportunities to get stronger. Antifragility. We're not fragile. We're not even resilient. We get stronger as we face challenges. And by the way, one important thing to note, the way that we operationalize that we talk a ton about in Optimize Proper, is you got to run protocols. And one of the protocols is the worse you feel, the more committed you are to doing what you know is best for you. So when lazy Bill, lazy you is barking in your ear, that's when you got to do the right thing. You got to close the gap, express the best version of you. That's how you develop anti-fragile confidence, and you truly respond to life's challenges with all you got. Then remember your setback exemplars. Whether it's Bethany with one arm, whether it's Stephen Hawking or Casey McAllister with no legs doing a Spartan race. What's your excuse for whatever it is you say you can't do? Come on, step up. Stoic challenge. Thank you, Professor Irvine. What's the idea that jumped out and landed for you? We'll pause, reflect on that for a moment. Seriously, what is it? What's one idea that you know you could be doing that would most positively benefit your life? Think about how you can move from theory to practice to mastery on that today. Make today another awesome day, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. See you. Hey guys, this is Bri. I hope you enjoyed that video. We have a lot of people ask us what Optimize is all about, so I just wanted to give you a super quick tour of our site, tell you what we do. We do two primary things. We have an Optimize core membership, and we have an Optimize coach certification program for people that want to go from theory to practice to mastery. So the core membership is basically $10 a month, depending on whether you do monthly or annual, and you get instant access to over 500 Philosopher's Notes, the 6-page PDF, 25-minute or so MP3 recordings of these great books. And then you get over 1,000 Optimize Plus Ones, 50 Optimal Living 101 masterclasses, etc. And we have a free trial. The team set up, get it, free for 14 days, and then go from there if you like it. So we're blessed to have a lot of people who subscribe to this, including some of my friends who happen to be some world-class peak performance gurus like Tal Ben-Shahar, who taught the two of the largest classes in Harvard's history, starts every day with Optimize. Ben Greenfield, friend and coach. Optimize is, bar none, my go-to source for taking a deep, efficient dive into some of the world's best books via the Philosopher's Notes. It's an indispensable resource. Thank you, Ben. Marcy Scheimoff loves Philosopher's Notes. Mark Devine, retired U.S. Navy SEAL commander, dear friend who starts his days with Optimize Plus One. Win in the mind routine to charge him up for the day's battle. If you're serious about leading heroically, I recommend you use them too. Hoo-yah, thank you. And 10,000 plus other awesome humans around the world. That's the core membership. Then we have, and I should say we have apps. Excuse me, you can get apps, iOS and Android. We feel pretty proud and blessed to have basically a 4.9 ranking and people saying some great things. You can check that at optimize.me/apps. And then our coach program is all about helping you master yourself so you can serve heroically, so you can empower others to do the same. We have trained over 1,000 Optimize coaches from over 50 countries. And really excited about this. This is one of the core levers for us to fulfill our mission to change the world one person at a time together, starting with you and us today. We've been told that, here's one little thought, and we have hundreds of testimonials you can check out about how it's transformed people's lives. And if you want to be a coach, you're coaching practice. Now, half of the people who do this want to be coaches. The other half just want to master their lives. But Barb, a coach of ours, says, I already had 2 coaching certifications, but Optimize Coach was indisputably the most valuable I have taken. Thank you, Barb. Honored to be part of your life. You can learn more about what we're doing with Optimize Coach at optimize.me/coach. There you go. Hope you're doing great. Look forward to sharing more with you soon. Have an awesome day. See ya.